Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest in hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Hey, we're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching, for listening. Another great show lined up for you today. We had to have Mr. Phillip Culpepper back.
We just ran out of time last time.
Yeah, and his knowledge on turkey hunting and some of the cool stories he was sharing. We had to have him back. So if you heard the show a few weeks ago, you're going to love this one as well. So
be great.
Don is my co-host, and he's got a radio station.
Yeah, Tullahoma, Shelbyville area is served by Whiskey Country, 105.1 and 95.9. And you can hear us there on the air Saturday mornings at 7. So we appreciate Whiskey Country in Tullahoma and Shelbyville and all our other radio partners as well.
Yeah, definitely. Special to be on the radio, and then we thank you for watching and listening out there on YouTube and Carbon TV.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're all over the place. So thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you missed a show a few weeks ago with Phillip, we had him back for another episode to talk turkey. It's right around the corner.
Now I'm getting fired up. I've licked all the wounds from deer season and healed up most all the black and blue, and we're getting ready to go back to battle. So my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lull there, but like we talked about in the last episode, if we could get some scouting in and
100%
utilize that cold January, February time, and then start thinking about it here as we're in February. Start thinking about deer season or turkey season, and it's going to be a fun year, I think.
100%.
And just a reminder, Phillip's got the Hunt Club TV. You know, it's just just a wealth of info about the hunts. You know, it takes you right out there in amongst the hunts, and
we got a lot of stuff from Tennessee too in the past and air now. So, like I said, we got our this entire this whole month leading up to when we kick it off in South Florida will be all turkey hunting. So,
well, it was funny, we were talking before the show, as some people say, you turkey hunt too?
Yeah,
yeah, he does it all.
I love it, man. It's
and turkey's really where it started with you.
It is. I mean, it really is kind of, like I said, I've told y'all in the past episode, I grew up just hunting in general, but turkey hunting to me is kind of where I kind of went out, I don't want to say on my own, but kind of learned it, kind of how I wanted to do it, because when I got to where I could drive, a truck, and I was going for school, almost the reason I failed high school, because turkey hunting. But I literally would go almost every day before school to where I could, made me learn time management and just responsibilities of also, being under a time crunch. Sometimes it made me push the limits on things to learn, and fail way more than not, but also with those failures become, was a huge learning curve. So, I'll forever be indebted to the wild turkey just for, it's not only a passion and an obsession, but it's therapy, I love it. I love every aspect of hunting them, to just down to the conversation having with them. So it's a true love of mine.
Yeah. Well, and then just under the wing of Realtree, and you got your start there, and that's another, mentor, I guess, that whole organization. And
even back then, we talked about the Monster Buck videos. I was just as much or more in love with the VHS tapes All Stars of Spring of growing up, watching those hunts and figuring out how they unfolded and learning. And then, that's before I knew anything about the back end of filming, but just trying to I want one locked on like that coming in, or how'd they strike this turkey? Because I remember even when I was getting into just trying to make a sound on the turkey calls, if I could walk down the road and be able to strike one up the middle of the day, I know I could kill them. I thought I was confident enough in my woodsmanship, just slipping around. If I could just make one gobble in the middle of the day, I bet I could kill double the turkeys I normally do, or at least, be in contention to where I was, flying the flag high when I'd take a buddy hey, come on, let's go. I'll take you and see if we can get on turkey. And again, that's kind of a, twofold now. Even now, I love being able to just take people that I've been blessed to take several people over the years that I, for lack of better words, didn't have a clue what in the world we were doing, what we were looking for, what thought I was like a madman, crazy, like going daylight to dark, looking for something. But when you do initiate that conversation or strike that turkey and hear that gobbler, one cuts you off, or you see one strutting or hear one spitting and drumming, the look in those people's eyes went from not having a clue, looking at you like you're crazy, to like, I get it. Like, like this is like, all right, I'm hooked. You know, and so that I'll forever be indebted for on those relationships, and even, you know, being able to introduce people to the wild, you know, hunting in general, just through hunting turkeys, you know, and because it is much more. Obviously, there's a time to sit down and be serious, but you can kind of cut up and have fun.
Yeah.
It's a good beginner sport, I feel like, but it's very rewarding and can be tough when it pays off. And you know, I mean, my wife's a prime example. She had never even been in the woods, you know, prior to us being married, and we got on a turkey, and he come in screaming, gobbling, and she like I thought she was going to hyperventilate. So I'm like that, to where, and you know, and she said it best even then. She's like, after she shot her turkey, and that's the only one she's ever killed, she was like, I get it. Like it was an adrenaline dump, but she was like, now I understand your crazy madman obsession with it. Like, I get it. Like this is what you're chasing every day you get up going, and whether you're pulling the trigger or not, you know, because again, I take way more people and see way more turkeys across the country die than I ever pull the trigger on. Yeah. So I just, you know, I don't know if you can necessarily call it giving back, but I love just being able to try to carry the sport, introduce new people to it, and you know, celebrate the ones who are celebrating it now.
Yeah, I think it's giving back.
Oh, yeah, it's so that's so important. Yeah, you know, because without the best conservationists in the world, hunters and fishermen, you know, getting out there and doing it, it's not going to be around.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it's all about, you know, carrying the torch and passing the torch, and you know, what better way than to introducing folks to it, who's, whether you're 70 or whether you're 15, that's never done it. You know, I think and again, like I said, I know for me personally, it's truly been a therapy, you know, through tough times in life, to where something you lean on, to where you never know what anybody's going through, to where that getaway of just being in God's creation, and, you know, whether you're shooting a turkey or not, just sitting out there listening and just having that time, that alone time, I think is a lot of time as a wake up call and therapy for people on their own, you know.
And you hit it on the head when your wife said, I get it now, you know. Right. And even if she never kills another turkey, she knows what you're loving out there, and that goes good for me till about the middle of May, when the grass is too tall. Like, look, but you told me you get it. Like, you, well, you told me you understand it. Like, what's going on? Well, I can only lean on that crutch so much. Yeah, so it's like
there's still a honey-do list, right?
Yeah. Like, it just don't matter. The roof's still leaking. Like, but you told me you get it. It'll wait. Can't it wait till June? Like,
I threw a tarp on it.
Right. We can all relate. Yep.
Well, let's jump into we kind of touched on it in the previous show when you were here a few weeks ago, but scouting. So still early. We got time to scout and locate birds and get ready for the season. How are you scouting this time of year?
Man, and obviously we're still, I mean, we're not really far from turkey starting to crack off. You know, my favorite way of scouting, period, especially in these hills, Tennessee, is get up on the hill and listen. I mean, I don't, you know, not only does it get you fired up and you feel like, holy cow, you know, you got to sometimes pump the brakes, like, oh, we still got some time, but you're hearing them, sitting there hearing them gobble, you're knowing them, you know they're there. I mean, when you hear a gaggle of them and they're gobbling, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But that, you know, even some of these, you know, days are getting a little bit longer, starting to get, you know, a little bit warmer temperatures. That obviously helps. But I mean, just boots on the ground, you know, tracking, looking for tracks, droppings. You know, even all the way up, you can see. I mean, especially when you get a big flock, you'll see where they've been scratching, going through. You know, whether it's picking up acorns, checking the edges of the field, food plots. But I would say listening would be number one. And number two, you know, for those who have the luxury of doing it and have the property to the diversity in it. On rainy days, man, check your fields, because I mean they're going to go to a field when it's raining, nasty days to get out of the woods. So I mean that's another. They may be standing there like penguins, and they may not look too fired up, but at least that's kind of always been a rule of thumb for me. Even back growing up in Georgia, man, we'd go check cow pastures and stuff, just ride around looking on days where they're going, where they're going to be at that certain time. So
Okay. Awesome.
But like I said, number one would be listening. On a good clear morning, go up on top of a hill and just sit there and listen and see where they're at, and that even kind of goes more into the closer you do get to season, when they're really firing off. Is I like to go up there and listen, even when they hit the ground, and don't make a call. Just sit there and listen, and how when they're gobbling, working, whether it's hens yelping, whatever they're doing, how they're naturally moving. Mm-hmm. And I always make note of that, to where when it is time to go in full blown Rambo attack mode, you kind of know what side to get on or what they're going to do. Or if they fly across the river on the other property, sit there a little bit if you got time to kill and listen, because they may come back at 9-10 o'clock. Or they can come out that afternoon and feed on your side before they fly up to roost. So it's just little things like that I feel like can be a huge game changer come, when you're trying to get one in shotgun range.
We're talking about different timing there. We're kind of jumping ship a little bit, but how long do you hang out in the woods during turkey season? Like growing up, it's like, I'm going to hunt deer until about 10, and I'm going to go back, eat lunch, and I'll come back. And, do you stay in the woods all day when it comes to turkeys and deer?
It's all depending on the I guess success rate, or what the possible success rate is. Because man, I'll get a bag of pork rinds and a Coca-Cola and stay out there. I'll go daylight to dark, to where it's put it this way, I stay out there long enough, like when we go hunt Illinois and stuff, and they have like a 1 o'clock cutoff, you're like, yeah, we only got to hunt like a couple hours. It's like, what is this? Like you feel like you're not even trying. But it all depends. I mean, if it's just me, I'll go as long as it takes. I mean, I'll stay out there. I mean, I killed one in Wisconsin one year. We never even left. I think we were out there, and it was late season. We were out there, I think, 15 hours.
Wow.
And killed one, right there at the end. But you just whatever it takes, and whatever, if the old rule of thumb for me is if I spook one and don't see him fly off, I'm assuming he's still there somewhere. So just stay after it,
Yeah.
And that's another good thing about turkeys that I like. I'll probably get in trouble at home for saying this, but they are, in my opinion, a lot like women. Like you give them 15 minutes and they're going to be in a whole different mood. To where, I mean, like, just because they ain't acting right now, if you give them 15, 20 minutes, it may be a whole new ball game. So that's kind of like, and again, I think that plays into a lot of success, to where, comparing it to deer hunting, obviously try to put ourselves in the best position we can, period. But deer hunting, I feel like you do have to be lucky as far as getting there to walk bow and gun range, or walk by a tree, get a shot at them with a bow.
Right.
Turkey hunting, I feel like you can, if you got a bag of tricks, you can dig down deep and kind of, like the old play calling list, look at what's going on. Like, all right, I won't have to, if I got to go get them fired up, or I got to, make them do this, or adapt to what they're doing. I feel like you can kind of throw the sink at them and make things happen more so than deer hunting.
Sure.
Which is part of the draw of love of doing it. I've, like I said, back to when you take people who's never been, I remember in Georgia, take people and just hard-headed, the southern easterns down there, and we'd ride for 2 or 3 days checking different spots, trying to get a turkey to gobble. Could not make a turkey gobble. And finally the guy was like, man, what's the end goal? Like, what are we looking for? I was like, man, we ain't heard a turkey. I said, you'll know when we find one. And finally we struck a turkey, and it was that kind of that aha moment. And we, and so you may, don't leave any stone unturned. So it's obviously you want it to be a quick hunt, but I'm in it for the long haul if that's what it takes.
Well, it's definitely a great sport to introduce folks to get them started in the outdoors. If it's not small game hunting, probably turkey's next in line, because you get to move a little bit, you work them, you find them. It's a different approach, especially compared to deer hunting. But so, real quick on scouting, what's your technique when it comes to cameras and things? Do you use cameras and maps and things for scouting for turkey?
Yeah, I do. I like to. Especially on some field edges and stuff. Obviously you can go off what you're seeing, physically, whether it's tracks or something, and it's kind of a no-brainer to put a camera there if you see tracks coming through. But also, I've learned even on some good deer trails on the edge of fields where you can really see some distance. If you got a deer that's going to trigger a camera, if you got the capability of a camera that the new ones, the way technology is now that goes live on doing stuff to where you can actually see the field, or cut it like in a time lapse mode, just to see what the turkeys are doing, because they are a creature of habit on gravitating toward open areas, especially. Sure. Right now with some of that fresh growth coming up, they're going to be out there milling around, browsing, and I've always liked field edges, doing stuff like that. Or if you see a pile of scratchings and some open areas on some hardwood flats, or simply look for feathers. I mean, I know, when they're looking, a lot of them, when it's kind of a perennial roost site, they're going to knock feathers off to where they're coming through the area. It's kind of, I hate to say like use common sense, but if you're seeing some turkey sign, throw your camera up, because obviously they don't have to make a ton of racket or footprint going through the woods, but then there's sometimes it looks like a dang train's done come through. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to food plots. Habitat. Are you, I think they're important. It can be very beneficial. So what are you doing along those lines as far as, are you planting food plots? Are you working your different habitats on your different places?
A lot of them. I mean, especially up here in Tennessee, some of the stuff we hunt, there's a lot of ag. So you don't necessarily have, if you want to say, control over what you're doing on your planting and stuff, but we've got food plots. We planted for deer, and I a lot of them, if you got a decent sized food plot, oats and clover is my favorite. But I like to 50-50 it, if you will, on if you got the size food plot. Well, I know we talked about in the previous episode talking about cover and nesting habitat. Sure. I like to where if you're either, in my opinion, going to let either keep one cut and bush hog, keep it cut down, or else let it go and let it grow till after the nesting season, after they've already hatched their poults out, because I feel like we lose a lot of nests, people bush hog and stuff. And same with hay fields, I mean, like if you ever cut it early and keep it where they're not going to be nesting there, and I think that diversity is good for when your poults get out there and they also have cover to get in. That's probably one of my favorite things with food plots is either 50-50 it or just let it go and let it grow up to where those poults do have cover. I don't think that's influenced quite enough. I know we try to trap and do best we can on predation, but right. But it's hard enough for turkeys to make it, to get even out of the egg, But I mean, that now, obviously now with the coons, it's been kind of loosened up. You can get rid of them at will. So I mean, that helps a ton. But I think just owls and hawks, and put a damper on them pretty bad if it's just they don't have any open stuff. So we try to leave a little bit of stuff growing up on the edges that we can, because any of those ag fields, they are pretty much most of the time they're ankle high anyway. So
well, what's that they say? Don't or. No recreational bush hogging?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, Clint. Yeah.
Clint Borum, one of our private lands guys, he always says that. Right. Roger up in wildlife, he's brought it up a couple times, but that recreational bush hogging, just let it grow.
Oh, yeah. Let it grow. At least let it get on out to let them get hatched out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's because, I mean, like I said, a dang turkey, If you'd feel bad for shooting one if somebody really did the research on what it takes for one to dang hatch and make it. I mean, they got it tough.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, let's talk about decoys. You said this was a hot topic.
Yeah, this is like the hate mail of the century for me. I feel like
So we're in the season. Let's talk about early season. Do you use a decoy in early season? What's your technique?
90% of the time, if I use and again, I'm blessed to travel state to state, so you got to check your state laws.
Right, and we'll talk about the other states too.
Right, and so I mean, obviously Tennessee, I think, is a lot like Alabama as far as you can't manipulate it; it's got to be stationary. But I typically, what I do is especially for early season, I like to use just a Jake decoy. I'll put a Jake decoy out there because I do think they're still pushing each other around a lot. They're establishing the pecking order. To where, and also you got, if you got that skull cap or whatever that's going to glow, and it kind of is an attention getter. Mm-hmm. To where I do feel like they're kind of bossing each other around, rubbing shoulders a little bit. And especially even if I'm hunting on in the season by myself, a lot of times I won't use a decoy, just whether they've seen a lot or whether they just and I've never been one to say the turkey is quote decoy shy. Not to knock a turkey, I just don't think they have that mental capacity of saying, "Oh, that's that's a decoy. That ain't a real turkey.
Right.
I mean, I think if they had that minimum capacity, they would be like, hey, either it's way too cold here, I'm going to go south, or else, hey, somebody's hunting me, I'm not going to go over there. That's somebody calling. I mean, but I do think turkeys are a lot more like people than we realize as far as having personalities, to where there are some people who just are introverts, and they're kind of like, you see that old longbeard out there by himself, never strutting, never having no hens. I think some of them just don't like being around, and it stresses them out being around other turkeys or being around other, other, whether it's hens, jakes, whatever it is. Now, you throw on to like what we had this past year, a massive jake crop around here. I think they do gang up on longbeards, to where they're almost like, if they see a jake decoy, like, I ain't no way, like, I ain't about to get involved with those 12
Sure, yeah.
hoodlums, I don't have my butt beat enough, and I think that translations, and I know we're getting off topic here, but that translations in even suppressing some of the gobble and some of the longbeards, because I think I've seen it to where a turkey gobbles or a longbeard walks out and you see it looks like Jurassic Park. There's a string of jakes come running across to run him off. I've literally seen them make them fly off, to where it's like, I think they just get tired of fighting a battle that they can't win,
Yeah.
But that's always my rule of thumb. If I use a decoy, typically it's going to be a jake, just to try to trip that trigger. If not, I prefer to set up and stuff, to where they got to kind of come looking for you, to where by the time they ought to be seeing a decoy, you should have them dead,
Yeah, I got you. So you're saying you're setting up and kind of hiding out. Are you using the decoy then, or not using one?
I would, like, if it's just me, sometimes I won't. Like,
Okay,
I'll go with that. But like, if I've got a kid or a first time hunter, to where you kind of like, and obviously nothing's predictable, but if a turkey works, like, this is going to be the shot. Like, keep your gun. It's just kind of helps, or my boys are getting older now, but I mean, I when they first started out, I'd be like, hey, like, practice on his head, just aim, just to kind of have something. If you're sitting there 15, 20, 30 minutes on a food plot or something, it's kind of a visual, you can see, practice for kids to aim at. And like I said, if you got a lot of ground to cover a turkey, you get locked on, when they're coming in locked in, it's a lot easier. The kid just aim right there, he's going to let him walk into your gun, versus moving around. And obviously we know what moving does to you when you're turkey hunting.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a, and a lot of times, like I said, it's a seasonal thing, to where I'm like, man, if there's a pile of jakes on the property, I'll be like, no, maybe we just throw a hen out. But typically I'm going to use just a jake decoy.
Okay. Well, since you talked about a little bit about aiming and things like that, what's some other little tips that outside of, we'll get to calling next, but outside of that, getting the kids aiming and
Right.
testing that, practicing that, getting steady, what's some tips you use when you're setting up on?
I mean, if and I've done a ton of times just cutting a shooting stick with a limb. If you can get a shooting stick, any kind of shooting stick. Probably the biggest thing that I've learned with kids or new time hunters is just getting them to slouch a little bit and get kind of their butt off the tree.
Get a little
because to where they can get, because I always like to tell them the world, like, when that gun's resting on your knee, it's already cheek level, to where you just got to get on your gun.
Yeah.
You don't have to pick it up. Or a lot of people, because they don't know. But all new times hunter, they'll have it to where their gun's like this, and then their arms so wore out, you can't hardly. They start shaking or wore out, they can't move. I mean, I like it to where I can just have my gun propped on my knee, relax, resting, and where I can have it on my shoulder, and I don't even have to touch it, to where you're in a position to where it's kind of firm, holding on to you. So
and kind of already be in that.
you're right. You always, you're always, you're semi ready to go, to where if one is minimal movement, but. Because what I've seen, typically that picking up the gun is what gets you, to where if you already kind of got your barrel, already kind of eye level, cheek level, to where you cut out 6 inches right there of moving, so
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just something I've always tried to tell people who are new to it, or kids, to where just do whatever you got to do to try to get comfortable, where you ain't got to move, and have your gun 3/4 ready to go.
Yeah, I like that tip of staying low. You don't think about it, but if you slide down just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, when you sit flat on a tree, your knees are going to be, it's uncomfortable anyway, trying to pull your knees up, but give yourself a little, room. And, even for anybody you're taking, if you got to sit, especially up here at all the rocks we got up here. Like, I mean, get you a good cushion. I got a buddy from high school. He's been doing this since we were in high school. He's got just a massive, 6 to 8 inch thick camo cushion. He just straps around him everywhere he goes.
Oh, yeah.
Turkey hunting, to where it's just, at least, you got to be comfortable to be still, or at least you can knock that out.
No doubt. Yeah. No, that's important. Being comfortable keeps you in the woods longer, and
100%.
keeps you in your spot longer, and you're able to connect.
So what about calling?
Yeah, we're going to run out of time. Let's see, real quick. What's your advice on calling and techniques there?
Man, I mean, little as possible, but I'm also a firm believer in because a lot of people think I overcall, but I'm also a firm believer. Once you get a conversation going, keep talking to them. I mean, I'm more of an advocate of keeping the conversation going, but keep your volume down. Kind of like us here. Somebody in here yelling at you, it's kind of like, whoa, what's going on? But like, we can sit here and talk all day. It is at a regular volume and be good,
level,
to where I think volume to me is way more key in clutch and being successful turkey hunting than it is the amount of calling. I mean, I think because anybody that's ever heard or listened to just, even if it's tame turkeys, they're always doing something. I mean, they're all like, if you hear a flock of turkeys feeding, they're constantly making noise, purring, whining, soft feed, yelping, doing something to where, at the same time, back to the turkeys being like women, when I think whenever you do trip that trigger and get them talking, like we're already reversing nature anyway by trying to get that turkey, the longbeard, to come to us.
Exactly.
Because they typically, what they're gobbling for is them hens go to them. So I think you got to give and take it and play hard to get, but at the same time, I think you got to let them know that you're wanting them over there to come to you, So I think it's Eddie Salter taught me that. Just, hit them hard sometimes and make them know that hey, get over here type thing, versus you can't just sit there and crank down on them, but at the same time, you can, if he thinks you hit them hard and let them know, and then he thinks you're over doing minding your own business, and it drives them absolutely crazy. I think sometimes knowing that you're not just, blowing the doors off trying to get them to come. I don't know. I think that's always worked for me. So anybody out there, try that. Try the lowering your volume down, and just it seems like it's always made things a lot more successful.
Well, and even when you make that call, if they don't talk back, that doesn't mean they're not
100%. Yeah, always. And that's another thing, especially running gun. And I always have a tree picked out to sit down if one does fire off. But like I said, if there's turkeys in the area and you ain't seen them fly off, and you act like there's one behind every tree.
Yeah, always be prepared. Well, hey, this has been great stuff. I'm sure we could have covered a whole lot more. I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, man. I thank y'all for the time, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Go check out Hunt Club, huntclubtv.com. You can find all the great episodes there, all the information about him, Phillip and his team. Even Cheeseburger was on there.
There you go, Cheeseburger. He's probably running the Yelper right now. So.
But he better not be. It's February.
Yeah. No, he's a deputy, so I'm sorry, he's in his patrol car somewhere running the Yelper.
All right,
going down the road.
I bet he's scouting while he's going.
Oh
down the road,
yeah, I guarantee you.
Well, Don, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Phillip. Really appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
What you're doing out there.
Yep, sure do. Thank you all for watching, listening, tuning in. This is Tennessee WildCast, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.